earlier this year in late February, the Little Rock Convention and Visitors Bureau kind of rebirthed a marketing campaign that was extremely popular in the 90s called Big on Little Rock. Not only does Big on Little Rock play on the words big and little and really talks about all of the wonderful amenities that we have in this great city, from big adventure, big activities and excitement, and we can really play on those words to tell our story and tell people from outside of this community what all Little Rock has to offer from a tourism perspective. But it's also a wonderful play on words personally to all the residents that call Little Rock home. So I am personally big on Little Rock, and that really resonated early in the 90s, and we were thrilled to relaunch that campaign and kick off 2020 with this popular program. Then unfortunately, we got hit with the pandemic along with the rest of the world. And so as we were retooling and refocusing on our local community and how we could assist in the efforts to not only mitigate this pandemic, but also help our local residents, our local tourism partners survive, we wanted to find a way to give back. So we found several great partners in being able to do that, and we launched a program to sell our t-shirts, our Big on Little Rock t-shirts in a variety of colors, along with now the much needed face coverings that say Big on Little Rock, as again a way to show civic pride. We partnered with Custom Ink Tees out of Maumelle to produce these for us, and all of the net proceeds we dedicated to the City of Little Rock's Little Rock Cares initiative. And so the mayor's going to talk a little bit more about that initiative today as well. So again, we kind of launched this. It was our give back program. The community really supported it. They have bought over 1,100 t-shirts and over 126 face masks to help provide some support and funding for this program. We launched this program in April, so from April until August 31st or August 30th, we've sold, like I said, over 1,100 of these t-shirts and 126 of these face masks. So I just can't say enough about the amazing community that we have here in Little Rock and the support that we've been able to give. We're really excited to have more of these prideful t-shirts in our community, and of course we will continue to provide those. So we really thank a lot of our partners. I'm going to talk through those partners and give them some recognition after the mayor gives us a little bit more information about the Little Rock Cares initiative and where all of those funds have been utilized to help in this pandemic. So, Mayor.
Gretchen, thank you so much just for your leadership as being the CEO of the Little Rock Convention and Visitors Bureau. I think we all can attest that tourism and hospitality has been one of the hardest hit industries in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic, but we've been led by a great leader in Gretchen Hall. So thank you so much for your leadership, as well as what you've been doing with the Big on Little Rock campaign. It's kind of interesting. Growing up here in Little Rock, you can't be a child of the 90s, being a millennial mayor. I remember as a young kid when the Big on Little Rock campaign first started and how much excitement there was in this new kind of advertisement campaign for the city to truly sell the city not only to oneself, but also to the outside world. And anytime that you have excitement, you have energy. And so when we think about the Big on Little Rock relaunch, it brought energy to our city at a time that we desperately needed it. I'll never forget March 12th of 2020. It's a day that I will never forget. It was the day that we created our first state of the emergency for the city of Little Rock, and everything changed for the rest of 2020. And quite frankly, probably changed for the rest of our lives, being that for my generation and many behind me, we always read about a global pandemic. We had never experienced one. And so throughout that process, there are always going to be gaps and opportunities for those of us who may not have access or opportunity to the most needed items, whether it was PPE, whether it was food, whether it was medical supplies, anything that you can think of that you needed at the height of the global pandemic, there was a need. And many of us, we understand that this COVID-19 pandemic has not only demonstrated what it means from a healthcare and a public health standpoint, but it also has demonstrated many disparities as it relates to healthcare disparities as well as financial disparities. And so we cared for our city. And in working with the leaders of our emergency management services team, today we have Matt Burks and Nathan Spicer, they stepped up to the plate to ensure that we had what we now call Little Rock Cares. It was a central vehicle to ensure that every business that reached out to us, every community organization, like organizations like Arkansas Hunger Relief Alliance, that's led by our City Board of Director, Kathy Webb, who's here with us today, everyone needed a central location. And that central location was Little Rock Cares. And from that time, we worked with our city board. I'll continue to say the City Director, Kathy Webb, has been at the forefront of many different things that we've been doing. And we also figured out that there was a disparity in food. We know there are some food insecurities, and so we stepped up to the plate with the Little Rock School District. We sat down, I believe it may have been March the 13th. We all got down to City Hall, and it was Superintendent Mike Poore. It was the World Central Kitchen, which came from the idea from then Stephanie Street, who was the leader of the Clinton Foundation. We had Arkansas Hunger Relief Alliance represented by City Director Kathy Webb, and a host of other organizations, because the only thing that was on our mind is how do we ensure that our children are fed for breakfast, lunch, and ultimately dinner as well. And throughout that partnership, we've been able to provide food close to 700,000 meals in a matter of 6 months. And that's what happens when you have a city that cares. And through all that process, we've been working with LRCVB, and they started this relaunch of Big on Little Rock, and have donated many of their funds to the City of Little Rock's Little Rock Cares Fund. And that's what it shows, is a true partnership, whether it's interagency, whether it's public-private partnership, because the only thing on our mind is the most precious assets of our city, which are our youth, and the least of these and vulnerable populations. And that's what we've been able to do. And we're excited today to continue to be in partnership with Gretchen Hall, the Little Rock Convention and Visitors Bureau, and all of our partners that are here today, from Little Rock School District to Arkansas Hunger Relief Alliance, to the members of the City Board that I represent here today. And we say thank you, Gretchen.
Thank you, Mayor. So it is now my distinct privilege and honor to present this check to the mayor and all of our partners that made this possible. So as I call your name, I'd like to ask you to come forward. We've got a check presentation. It'll be a nice photo op. I'm going to start, of course, with Mayor